Hey, I am live. What's going on, people? Hey, so I'm doing something inside here. Let's just try this out, folks. Okay, so sorry for the kind of blown out light. Um, so what I want to do though is thank you for jumping on first and foremost. And I want to talk to you about something that's, um, again, people don't combine what I'm about to combine together in the manifestation world, mainly because people love to separate ideas. So they separate science, they separate, psychoanalysis. And if you've known me for more than 5 minutes, then you know that I like to combine neuroscience, psychology, behavioral science, all the things that we typically keep separate. And I think it's unhelpful that we do that. But that's not what I want to talk about, because I want to talk about why is it so much easier why is it so much easier for us to not manifest rather than to manifest? Let me say it a different way. Why is conflict so much easier to us than actually being satisfied? Why is it so hard for us to be people who are satisfied? Why is it? Because fundamentally, when we're manifesting, what are we manifesting? And I really want you to think about this. What are we manifesting? We're manifesting a form of satisfaction, right? So if you want money and let's say you're trying to manifest winning the lottery, which I don't really encourage people to do that. Like you can go and win something at the, slot machines. I'm not against those things, but if you are a person who's trying to manifest wealth, you're not going to find wealth in any of those places, right? And that is not a limiting belief. It's simply just the idea that you can go win money, but you can't manifest wealth, right? And so wealth is long term. These are not meant to be long term strategies, right? So, again, why is it that we struggle so much trying to understand why we're gravitating? I don't even want to say gravitating, but why is it so much easier to be people who are, in conflict rather than people who are in peace? Or let's say it this way. Why is it so much easier to be a nation of people who are about war rather than being a nation of people who are about peace? Or why is it that we are a a global family who it seems, and it's very, very key, seems like we're always hell-bent towards going to attack one another rather than love one another? Why is it that so do you see where I'm going with this? Like, why is it that some people struggle, not even just some, but why is it that struggle seems to be part of this story? Why is it that you might have a desire and you can't seem to actually be manifesting it, right? The way that you want to manifest it. Okay. So let's deep dive into that. So to actually deep dive into this, I want to talk to you about something that you may have never heard of, or you may have never been introduced to. And it's a new concept, not new concept, it's been around for years. But why is it that it's so much easier to not manifest our dreams than to manifest them? Okay. And this does come to around a belief, but I'm going to drill down a little bit deeper. Okay. And I want you to actually check out the work of Jacques Lacan, Lacan, right? Right. And he's a French psychoanalyst, kind of dead right now. But his whole idea is that we are always in a constant stream of interacting with mirrors. Okay, what that means is that everything that we look at in the world, we tend to look at in the world as what we don't have, right? And so for me, and this is what I've told several of my friends, right, is that listen, if you're going to understand the work of Neville, you have to first understand the work of Jacques Lacan. Okay, and I know that sounds really weird, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about Jacques Lacan, and the reason why I argue this. Like for me, I don't think anybody, and this is going to be a radical, bold claim, I don't think you can actually fully become a full-fledged good at manifestation until you actually understand what Jacques Lacan is saying about human desire in this world. Okay, because that model will then shift the way in which you look at desire. Okay. Because right now, most people think I want, so therefore I give myself that. That is the basics of manifestation, right? But I think if you really, really, really want to drill down into this, and hello, everybody, and you really want to understand why is there so much conflict in me, And then why is it that I am only manifesting more conflict? Why is it that I can't get rid of this conflict? This is your YouTube for today, right? This is your YouTube for today, because we're going to understand and try to get to the psychodynamics, right? Or the ways in which our psychology influences and impacts the way we see the world. Okay, because that, to me, again, the reason why I do this is because I'm very concerned about the manifestation world and how a lot of it's based on fear, a lot of it's based on anger, a lot of it's based on upset, a lot of it's based on whatever it is out there. Loads of unnecessary mental health issues around manifestation, which is really you taking your power back. But why is it so hard to take our power back? Why is it so hard to believe that we are the most powerful being? So yesterday I kind of started with that, right? So if you haven't watched it, watch the one yesterday, okay? And it's about you are the creator, because a lot of people have a hard time accepting that they are God. One, because they have loads of hangups with the word God, but then secondarily, they have loads of issues with their own power because they haven't been taught that they're powerful by their parents. They haven't been taught that they're powerful by society. They haven't been taught that they're powerful by whatever, right? The law, whatever it is. And so Jacques Lacan, again, he's very hard to understand, but I've been studying him for like 12, 15 years, right? And I've even hung out with academics who I consider my peers who studied them for their whole career. And all of us say it takes about 3 years to fully understand Jacques Lacan, okay? And so I'm going to tell you a little bit of a drive-through of who he is and why he's important to understand and why this information is going to make you a better manifester. Okay. So basically he says this, and you may have even heard of this. And if you have, share, right? Because I know people are on. And thank you for listening in. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day. It's a little bit of a different one today. And yes, there's going to be techniques at the end and so on, right? But I really, really want you to get why people struggle. Okay. Why? So we have to go to psychology first, then to Neville, which Neville is psychological anyways, right? Are you with me? So according to Jacques Lacan, every single infant on this earth, past, present, and future, right, will go through what's referred to as the mirror stage. Anybody ever hear of that? And so it's a very popular idea. Even like celebrities like Lady Gaga know about this because I've talked to her about it. And so what I want to do, though, is I want to walk you through this, okay? The mirror stage happens between the 6 month to the 1.5 month. Okay. And so meaning somewhere along those lines, every single one of us will go through what it, or has obviously has gone through the mirror stage, unless there's babies watching. Hi. And so what it is that you are up until the moment that you actually see your mirror self, that's what's called the mirror image, right? Until you see your mirrored self. Okay. You think that all you are, you don't even know that you're a torso. That means all you think you are is arms and legs and a head. Why? Because your head is attached to your mother's breast. And all you can see from that point of view are your arms and your legs. Okay. And so right up until then, you never feel whole unless you're with your mother. This is all symbolic, by the way. You never feel whole unless you're with your mother. That's where satisfaction is. That's what we're all after, right? You want manifestation. You want to feel satisfied. Okay. According to Lacan, the only way that a baby feels satisfied is when they're stuck on their mother. Okay. This is very important, actually. So thank you for staying with me. Now, what you then do is there's a moment between the 6 month to the 1.5 mark that you will actually end up seeing yourself in a mirror of some sort. It doesn't have to be like a long, huge mirror. It could be a phone. It could be anything. And you realize, whoa, that's me. That's me. Okay. So then in that moment, he says a split happens. Okay. That means a split person. Okay. And you can even just say in that moment is the moment that you realize, I lack and then I want. I lack and I desire. I lack and I desire. And he says the only way that we actually feel whole now is we start learning language. Language makes us feel whole. Okay. Language makes us feel like we actually can do something to actually feel the lack. Okay. So rather than accept the lack, he says we now create mirrors for the rest of our lives. That mirror image creates a split, and that split is a distance between who you are and who you want to be. And so we create the ideal ego, right? And so in this ideal ego, what ends up happening is we then will go do anything. We'll go buy stuff. We'll like, look at me, and then we'll virtue signal. Look at my Instagram, and I have all this brands, and look at this, and now I'm famous, and all of this kind of stuff, right? And so what he says is that fundamentally people will live their lives out of this lack. So everything that you desire is out of lack, right? Everything. Do you want happiness right now? It's because you don't feel happy. Do you want somebody in your life? It's because you feel lonely, right? Do you want fame? It's because you don't feel recognized. You don't feel important, right? You don't feel valued. Oh, do you want people to accept you? It's because you feel rejected. Are you with me? So see, Lacan is very important to understand how this world operates. The way in which this world operates is where Neville rules supreme, okay? And so, again, why am I sharing this with you? Why is this actually important for you to understand and grasp? Because this model that Jacques Lacan is sharing, and there's way more to his work, it's very powerful, right? But the way that his model works is helping us understand how the 3D, the stage world, whatever you want to, the world of appearances, the world of mirrors, whatever you want to call this, is super, super important, okay? Hi, Catherine. Thank you. Honestly, I'm really, really glad you said that, because I didn't know if people would be like, well, this is way too far out. So, because loads of people just want to focus on how can I manifest in 4 minutes, right? And I'm a big believer people can do that. And there probably will be videos that I will do that. But I'm also against the consumer model of like, I just want to grab because the grabbing means you don't have, right? The grabbing means you are doing everything in your what? This is what Neville says don't do. Your own power, right? Which means that's his word for effort. And we're going to talk about effort today as well. There's actually a great Hebrew word and Hebrew idea. And go check out my other video that I dropped, a standalone video yesterday or day before yesterday on effort, right? But basically so again, Lacan is giving you the mental model of how this world works. So let me say it another way. You will never be satisfied with anything that this world offers. Never. Because this world, and take it from somebody who used to do marketing prior to being a behavioral scientist for 8 years, right? I know that the whole way in which advertising functions is that it needs you to be in a state of lack. It needs you to be in a state of wanting. It needs you to be in a state of I'm not enough. It needs you to be in a state of I'm not happy. It needs you to be in a state of I'm angry. It needs you to be in a state of the world is against me. It needs you to be in a state of rejection, right? That is the way in which this world is modeled. Okay, that's why you need to study the work of Jacques Lacan to fully understand and grasp, and to truly grasp what Neville is offering. Because if you think that Neville is just offering manifestation techniques, then you've really misunderstood him. Yes, he does offer those, but he is not just about manifestation. This is about lifestyle. Okay, but the problem is that when you have the split, right, that we just talked about, okay, when you have this split, okay, what ends up happening is you function, you repeat, you identify, and you become the lack. You embody it, right? So how do you manifest? You embody it. How do you not manifest? You don't embody it, right? You embody something else. Now, here's the thing that I'm going to tell you right now. Here's the biggest tip. Again, embody everything you want in here first, then out here, right? So then, yes, that means get out, get a list, write 10 goals that you want to complete today, right? But do it from the state of already having. Every single goal that you write down, even if it takes you 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 4 seconds, get in the state of the wish fulfilled. Oh, I have to go talk to this person today? Boom. And I'm going to tell you a big technique right now that Neville and his family used to use, okay? But let's go back to Lacan for a second, okay? Desire and the way in which this world operates and defines desire is that you have to be in lack. Right? And so if you feel in lack, then you're modeling yourself after this world, not this one. Okay. Are you with me so far? And so I really, really want to drill that down. That's why for me, and this is why I said at the beginning of this video, for you to truly understand the work of Neville Goddard, you have to go through the work of Jacques Lacan. because you have to understand that this world is modeled after lack, and it is not modeled after satisfaction. So let me say it a different way. This world is modeled on war, not peace. This world is modeled on anger, not love. This world is modeled on rejection, not self-acceptance, right? This world is modeled on loneliness. This world is modeled on what? Love, acceptance, celebration in relationship, right? Are you with me so far? Is everybody with me? Like, because again, I don't want it to get too academic, but I did used to teach this, so I can end up getting a little bit too much in my head. So I want to give everybody a breather, right? And so, again, back to Lacan, and then we're going to go back into straight into a technique, right? From Neville and his family, if you're not familiar with it. But again, Jacques Lacan says we're in a world of mirrors. Everything's a mirror. That person who just cut you off in the freeway and you're pissed off, that has nothing to do with them. You being pissed off has everything to do with you, right? You can give them a different reason from, hey, maybe there's a pregnant lady in there that needs to get to the hospital, right? But then if you can't get that, and if you can't get to there, right, then that's just showing you something. In fact, I want to teach you a little tip, and I don't see this talked about enough. I see it talked about, but not enough. You need to be grateful for when things don't turn out the way that you want. I know. Hang on. Let me explain that, because people are like, oh, no, that doesn't make sense to me. Here's the thing. Because what it's doing is it's showing you the next step to your journey. It's showing you, okay, I still have a belief in this area that I need to heal or repair or restore or reverse, right? Whatever it is. Now use the technique that I've used before to heal those that I've actually shared, right? And it's called parts integration from NLP. And if you don't know, I've shared that over this whole last week, right? On a couple of those videos. If not, get in touch. This is what I do in a workshop format with my clients, right? And again, remember, if you're working on the model of lack, that means you don't have. If you're constantly trying to manifest from lack, then you are modeling yourself and desire, not from I already have, right? You're modeling from I don't have. So then you go into your scenes and your imaginary scenes, and you're going in from lack. This is why, and if you heard me say this before, you never go into the imagination as you are now. You always go into the imagination as what you already have. Right? You are being the person who has the house. You are being the person who has the acceptance. You are being the person who just got their college letter acceptance. You are being the person who gets along with their parents. Whatever it is, you never go in with lack, because then you're just modeling after this world. Right? And then all that's going to do is either slow down your manifestation, or it doesn't show up at all, because you're not being the state of the person who already has what they want. Are you with me so far? So again, right now, one thing that Neville's family, or it was the Joseph Goddard. This is really, really important. Okay, so I've shared this before. So if you've been on here, you might have heard this. But if you haven't, definitely do this. This is something I do. I've made it a very strict rule that I am not allowed to get out of my bed, and I mean physically. I will not get out of my bed until I've planned out my whole day. Okay, what that means is I know if I have to meet people. I know if I have to go to work. I know if I have to do a phone call. I know if I'm going to movies with my friends. I know if I'm going out with my loved ones. Whatever it is, you plan that to be the best version of that day ever. Not just a little bit. Not like 5%, not even 95%. You go 100%. And then when you feel like, oh, that could be a little bit better, go 150%. You always use your ability, which is this, that's your tool structure, right? To actually structure your day, right? And so you want to use this to structure your day. And then check this out. Then here's another tip. And this is actually directly from Neville himself using it, okay? Not just his dad. And then revise at the end of your day, okay? As if, and if something didn't go the way that you wanted to, that you actually planned to in the morning, then you revise as if it did at bedtime. And you go back through your whole day, not just for a second, not just for like the last 5 minutes, the whole day. And you plan those events out as if they were the most ideal day ever. And guess what? You do that for 3, 4, 5 days, you're going to have the best damn life you could ever imagine. Do it for 30 days. Right? Everything, like Neville says, right? Everything goes into the future. Okay. So Everything precedes into the future. All right. So, all right. Now that we've talked about Jacques Lacan and desire, and I've given you a tip, let's go deeper. Okay. Because Neville says you need to have a clear desire. And I've shared some of this before. Okay. But the clear desire is very important. Okay. The clear desire is you can't have, and this is why I started with Jacques Lacan, because Jacques Lacan talks about social pressure and how we define ourselves through social pressure. Now, think about that. Before you fight me on that, think about that, because a lot of people, especially in America, we love to worship the idea that we are individuals. Let me tell you, as somebody who is a psychologist, you're not. And I know people hate to hear that. Okay. But the reality is that we are environmental beings. Okay. What that means is we are influenced and we are socially pressured by those around us, family, friends, everything. But the biggest pressure that we have is here. Okay. We're interpreting what they're doing, and we're only interpreting things that fit the model of what we currently believe. So if you're in a state of lack about money, right, then guess what you're going to do? The only thing that you can actually are able to do, and this is what Neville's very strict about, the only thing you're able to do, yes, you're going to hate that I'm about to say that you have no free will. Now, I believe in free will. I believe that everybody has free will. But what I'm saying is you don't have free will based upon the beliefs that you yourself accept as true. Okay. What that means is, yes, you have free will to choose any belief. That's what Neville says. Everybody has free wills to choose their state. That just means a body of beliefs. Right. But those beliefs, the more you habituate them, the more that you perform them, the more that you continue them, the more that you live through them, guess what? They form a person. They form an avatar. They form a way to react to the world. They form a way to react to themselves. They form a way to react to the environment and news and so on and so forth. Right. So in that sense, you don't have free will because you're giving yourself over to those limiting beliefs. And yes, all beliefs are forms of limiting beliefs. Okay. Now, why? Because you're God. And so God doesn't need to believe anything. But because you are experiencing this body, this avatar, this mind as a human being, you have to accept that, hey, yes, I want the limiting belief of always being wealthy, right? That's fine because you're accepting something that you want. But the problem is that you have social pressures. Like I talked to somebody recently who might be joining the program is somebody who actually has loads of regret about, oh man, I'm in a job I don't want to be in. I don't know how to get out and I can't get that lost time. Remember, this is so important. There is no such thing as losing or anything along the line of loss. Only if you believe there is. Okay, that's Neville's words. And I think it's one of the most powerful things that you can actually accept as true. Okay, so please work on that. All right. Because again, you want to get to the point that there is no loss, right? Even the Bible has stories about the idea of the imagination, Jesus in and as your imagination and going in and rescuing the lost lamb, or going in and the lost son returns, right? There is no loss. There's no lost time. There is no like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to get this person into my life and I feel like I'm running out of time because there's social pressures that say that I should be married at a certain age, or I should have kids by a certain age, or I should have this by a certain age, right? Fuck off. Sorry, I don't really talk like that on these videos, but we have to have that mentality. You have to have the closed-minded mentality of saying, this is who I am. And that's what Neville means when he says brazen impudence. Okay. What that means is I am locked in and nothing's getting in the way. Right. This is the end. I've lived in the end because I've created it here. And now I'm living in that end. There's nothing that's going to stand in my way. Nothing. That's the kind of tenacity. That's the kind of passion. That's the kind of drive. That's the kind of creativity that you need to fuel yourself with every day. That's going to look different for every person. But that is the kind of mentality that you want, that no matter what you want, you need to try to find a way to fuel that mindset as a regular mindset every single day. That doesn't mean that you're not open to other ideas. That doesn't mean that you're not open to changing your desires. It doesn't. What it means is that for the time being, while you're living in here, that's the only reality. That's what it means, by the way, when Neville says that imagination is the only reality. That means nothing out here should have any influence over you. Nothing even with your body should have influence over you. Okay? Because this is also part of your manifestation. All right? Are you with me? So again, desire, and this is the part 2 of desires. Why do we conflict? Why do we have so much conflict in trying to get our desires? So again, social pressure. This is what the Bible calls the unblemished lamb. The unblemished lamb is a symbol. Any animal in scripture, by the way, is a symbol for your desire or manifestation. Okay. So when it says, for example, there's many wild animals that need to be tamed, guess what that's saying? That's saying that you need to go and do the disciplined work of taming your emotions, right? That means you need to go in and do the disciplined work of taming your moods. Okay. But if you don't, you'll have mixed results. If you don't, you'll have no results. And this is not fear, by the way. This is supposed to be empowering to you to realize you are the one that is capable of disciplining those animals, that you are the one. That's why you name them. Why is it that in the beginning of the story of Adam and Eve, right, which is a garden, this is your garden, this is what you're always tending to, it's a metaphor, right? And one of the first things that Adam does, what is he names the animal. Naming in Hebrew culture is about giving it a nature, okay? That means you're giving your thoughts, your emotions, and your beliefs a nature, okay? But what's the nature? It's only the nature of the new person. Okay, the nature of being rich, the nature of being accepted, the nature of being in love, the nature of being celebrated, the nature of being famous. Those thoughts and emotions, those are your tools, right? Those are your gifts. Those are your talents in scriptural language. Okay, so when it has stories about people using their talents, how are you using your talents, right? But if your talents are always shaped by your parents or your religious groups, or if it's shaped by society, if it's shaped by fears in society, like I used the fear earlier of, oh my gosh, I'm a woman of a certain age and I should be married, right? Or whatever it is, that's not your unblemished lamb. That is not the unblemished desire. So therefore, you might still be able to manifest, and most likely you will, right? But you're still going to manifest all the pressure with it, all the social pressure, all the social expectations. So when you think, okay, listen, and I use this one because I have a client who actually struggles with this, okay? And basically is what it is if you're like a woman, and you're like, oh, I should be married by 25, 30, blah, blah, blah. Oh my gosh, because my eggs, because of all of this kind of stuff. What you've done is you've created a series of beliefs, and then what are you going to do? You're going to point to science. You're going to point to biology. You're going to point to biological sciences. You're going to point to all these kinds of things, right? And you're going to say, yeah, but look at my body. Look at my best friends. They're married. Why am I not married? So what you do then is you get married. You might have a moment of satisfaction, maybe 10 years, 12 years, 15 years down the line. You're not satisfied anymore. Why? Because you haven't dealt with that issue of social pressure. That's why Neville says, when he says you have to have clear desire, he isn't just saying clear as in, oh, I want a 7-room mansion with like a gumball machine that's the size of like Disneyland, right? That's not what that's part of it. That's part one. Remember, Neville always talks in layers. It's never one thing when you hear his words, okay? Like I said before, he uses the word natural 3 different ways. He uses the word effort 3 different ways. We're going to talk about effort in a minute, okay? And as you know, I give you tips. If you've been with me this whole talk, I've already given you one, right? So again, what you want to do is you want to remove the social pressure. You want to remove your parental pressure, meaning don't try to do things for your parents because they want you to become a doctor, right? And you want to become a dancer. Go be a dancer, okay? Now, and then I understand. I have friends who are in Hinduism. I have friends who are Islamic. I have friends who are Christian. Everybody is involved, and some people I know that they have these religious pressures. Don't fall into the religious pressures. And I get that, for example, I've lived in Pakistan, I've lived in Israel, I've lived in all these places where I get it. Friends have told me they have loads of not just social pressures, but the social is tied in with the religious. So what do you do in those circumstances? Okay. What do you do in those circumstances? Well, one, you kind of have to get to the point where you have brazen impudence in here. You live in here, and you see people actually celebrating you from their culture and saying, you know what, I support you wherever you are. I support whatever you do, right? And you feel that, and you practice that emotion every day in and day out. You bring that emotion with you everywhere you go during that day, okay? Everywhere you go, right? Not just for 5 seconds, okay? And you practice it, and you become it, and you wear it, and you be it, right? And you accept it. It's like a gift that you're giving yourself, except it's just not wrapped and there's no mess of Christmas wrapping paper. But anyhow, so again, remember, the unblemished lamb means you're removing social pressure. You're removing the need to feel, I've got to now fulfill some sort of way of doing this to make others happy, right? Because what's going to happen is you might get what you want, but along the line, and it may be 1 year, maybe 10 years, whatever it is, you're not going to be happy, right? And so, and yes, motivation, and I'm going to do a video on motivation and how to keep motivated in your own practices. And we're going to use behavioral science and nudging and all these cool things, right? Yeah, no worries. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You are awesome. Thank you, SQM. So again, and by the way, that's one of my awesome clients, by the way, not the one I mentioned. So basically what I want to do is I want to jump through this and really, really get you to see, okay, that, oh, hello there. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, Eternal Black Flame. Welcome back. So again, let's get back into this. Your desires cannot be socially pressured. Your desires can't be religiously pressured. But your desires are pressured in that they are coming from an identity. If your identity is lack, guess how they're going to form. So Paul says in Scripture, it says, "Do not conform to this world." Okay, so this is kind of what we're talking about today. But I'm going to go a step deeper as well. Do not conform to your own limiting beliefs. Okay, so I've just said don't conform to outside beliefs. But now I'm saying don't conform to your own limiting beliefs. But where do they come from? Remember, because today's about conflict. Why is there so much conflict around manifestation? Why is it so hard? Why does it seem so hard, right? Because again, social pressure, right? So again, first step is internal pressure. You're giving it to yourself. But where does that come from? Well, it comes from outside. But then outside means it comes from a lot of things in society. So then you're forming an image of yourself, and you're forming pressures, because that word is really, really metaphorical, and it's a symbol. So when he says conform, it's the word picture is like somebody who's being like, I'm trying to give you like a better visual, but if you've ever squeezed like Play-Doh, you know, that Play-Doh stuff that you used to have, right? And you squeeze it and it forms really easily, right, to whatever you've just made it into. Okay, and so guess what? You're already conforming. Right? You're always conforming anyways, every day in and day out, to your own belief system, right? And that's what you're manifesting, okay? You're manifesting your own belief system. And so that's why Neville says the one thing that you have, the one thing called free or being free that you have to choose is these beliefs, right? And so again, ooh, that's a good question, Raheem. So, all right, I will definitely get to that because that's actually in connection with all of this, right? No, that's fine. Yeah, feel free to email me. And if you're new, welcome. Please consider joining the coaching program. We go this deep because I care about what I do and I care about you guys. But welcome back, Red Hood, as well. And I do want to answer your question, Raheem. Let me finish this thought, and we're going to answer that, because a lot of people really, really struggle with people pleasing. But really, that's what Paul is saying. But what he's saying goes deeper than that. Don't people please your beliefs for others. Okay, that's really another way of saying don't conform to this world. Okay, conform to this world. Always conform to this world. In fact, you already are, but choose this world. Okay. Choose this world, because this world will make it what? So that you're always in a state of lack, which means you're in a state of wanting. That means you're going to go through your days overthinking about, have I manifested it? Have I not manifested it? That means you're still in lack, by the way. Okay. Or is it, wait a minute, did I just have that thought and did that thought kick it out? Right? Oh my gosh, like what's going on? So all of that tension is all about you not believing in your own power. Right. And remember, this takes discipline. So a lot of people come to me or even to other coaches and on their journey and forget that, listen, to discipline your mind takes time. Right. And that's okay. That's why I'm always encouraging people, like, listen, you have to actually create time for self-care. Like, go and do something fun. Why? Because you're going to manifest more opportunities for fun anyways if you're doing something fun. So why not go do fun anyways? Right. And so manifest something fun. Manifest a moment where you're like, I'm going to just go do self-care. I'm not going to think about anything. I'm just going to go be whatever it is, right? Because if you're in your head so much, you're never living life, right? And this is always the present moment, but so is this. This isn't, well, this is technically a record of your past, right? And that's one way, by the way, if you struggle a lot with like, yeah, but why is this happening? Why is there a time gap, right? And check out my videos on time gaps, okay? Because the time gap is literally like one, I don't like calling it a time gap. It's simply just a process. There's no such thing as time anyways, right? And I mean that scientifically. As somebody who studied about it, right? And I have books, and there's a book behind my shoulder somewhere right there by Carlos Ravelli. And he talks about how time isn't something that happens to a watch, right? It's literally a process. So again, let's go to Raheem's question, because I think it's very perfect for this about people pleasing. Okay, because people pleasing means there's a lack within you. Okay, now listen, do not hear that I've been there. I mean, as an extrovert, as somebody who's in the social sphere a lot, like, I mean, I've talked and I've spoken to thousands of people, and like when I lived in India, and I spoke to a group of 2,000 people in Pakistan, right? So I'm used to being in public. So I realize and I get that people pleasing seems to be our default, right? People pleasing seems to, hey, I need to make you happy. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean that when you stop being people pleasing that you have to be a douche. Okay. That doesn't mean, like, for example, I'm very big on people on like using people's first names, even if they're in customer service. Why? Because they're human beings. They're not just somebody who's doing something for me. And remember, treat unto others how you want to be treated. Right. So again, people pleasing is about lack. People pleasing is so that might like steer you back to a childhood memory. That might steer you back to a childhood like life, like meaning like your whole life was, I need to make these people who are my parents, who might beat me or abuse me or reject me or think I'm stupid, and I have to act a certain way so that I can feel accepted. Okay. And so again, that's a story. That's one story. That's one possible story. Okay. And so of course, this is why Neville's technique on revision is extremely powerful. Like really, really like a form of salvation for you, because revision means you go back into that story and you don't just mine it and look for good, positive things that, hey, this made me stronger here. There's nothing wrong with that. But his version and understanding of revision is that we change time. We change the moment. We change the people involved, not just ourselves, but we focus on changing ourselves, right? Because you ask the question, if I had parents who celebrated me, or if I had moments that I didn't have where I felt rejected, how would I be now? How would I be in this moment today? As you're hearing me, how would you be? Okay. Because that's really how you begin the process of healing from people pleasing, right? And again, people pleasing is also what's called, there's an issue, and you can check this out, by the way. And by the way, if you need worksheets on this, because dude, everybody people pleases. I don't care. Even Neville talked about people pleasing, right? Is called enmeshment. Enmeshment. Let me see if I can actually write that down for you guys. So enmeshment. Okay. So it's actually a psychological thing, right? That you can actually check out. And again, yes, I do go this deep in my coaching program. Because I help people from different walks of life, and I love what I do, and I'm good at it, right? And this is something that we do deep dive into. So we will talk about enmeshment if you're part of my program, right? Because we will deal with it, because that might be hindering your ability to manifest, right? But enmeshment means I can't separate myself from you. So then a lot of what I would encourage you to do, Raheem, or anybody who struggles with people pleasing, is to begin creating and modeling. And I mean, full on, who is somebody that you look up to, and why is it that you look up to them? Because I guarantee you, one quality that you like about them is that they have their own worldview, that they have their own way of seeing things, right? And so again, what you want to do is you want to like take a sheet of paper, write it down, right? Write down 10 qualities that you yourself want to embody. Okay. One is maybe good boundaries, because that's enmeshment, meaning I need to actually have boundaries to separate myself from other people. Because when you're people pleasing, there is no boundaries, right? You're like, I want to do whatever makes you happy. So maybe you're even in a social situation, and you're like, and they're like, hey, who wants to go to the movies? And you don't want to, but you're like, yeah, I'll do it. And you fake like you're excited. And dude, I've done it. I've been there. I get it. But what you want to do is you want to get to the point where you can actually be able to say no, and know that they won't reject you outright. And even if they do, there's 8 billion people in this world, right? Just because one friend walked away because you started having boundaries, you don't need that person in your life. You need people who respect you. So then you start building out scenarios. in your mind where friends are celebrating you. Friends are like excited to be around you. Friends are, right? So you could even create a scene, Raheem, where you're telling people no, right? Not in that jerky way, but like in a loving way, where like, hey guys, you know what? Would love to hang out with you, but I've got something else that I need to do, right? And then have them, dude, cool, high five, whatever, pound, fist pound, that doesn't matter, right? And repeat that scene over and over and over and over, right? And you know what I mean? Um, let's see, Red Hood. Okay, so been noting important concepts you stated. Yeah, so listen, I'm all about research. So what you're gonna get at this channel isn't just me talking about certain things, or if I reference something, I know about it, or at least I've done enough work that I know about it. I don't like people saying, "Well, this is what quantum theory says," and blah blah blah. No, because there's too much of that going around, and they're like, "Well, quantum theory and manifestation work together." Well, not necessarily. So right, and again, so yeah, so just to come back to what you're saying. So again, yeah, enmeshment is huge. So again, let's take that back to the verse where Paul says, don't conform to this world. Let me say it this way. Don't enmesh yourself with the world. Why? Think about this. If you do, all of your desires, everything that you want to manifest will never be yours. That's what is going on here, right? And so you want to create an avatar, a version of Raheem or whoever, right? With the qualities of the person who has good boundaries, because that's why people please, right? People do people pleasing, right? And then why they also struggle with separating themselves from other people. So then be able to do things on your own that don't, and then sometimes create scenes where you don't have to ask permission. That's one of the coolest things that I love about Neville. He says, listen, you don't go and ask for permission to go give yourself what you want, right? So that's a people pleasing technique. So like I said, he actually mentions people pleasing. He doesn't talk about the words people pleasing, but he mentions it. Okay. Right. And so what I would love to do is I'd love to encourage you to actually do the simple work of building out a series of healthy boundaries, right? That's where you would really, really go well, like Raheem or anybody, with people pleasing, and see that you are actually a person who is respected, right? That's where you want to really, really go with this. Okay. So again, why do we struggle with getting our desires? One, and this is the last section of this. One, because we believe we don't deserve them. So why is there so much conflict around whether we deserve our desire? Because we live in a society that says, well, you need to be humble, or to think that your God is arrogant, right? I mean, they would tell Neville that as well. And he's like, I don't care, right? So Neville even talks about his own dancing journey. Neville had no experience. This is his own words, had no experience in dancing whatsoever, right? And he's like, you know what? I'm going to be a very well-known dancer. And he actually ended up assuming that he had the skills to dance, and he began learning, and he began training, and he began, and now he's on, he was on movies, and he was on silent movies, and, he was actually well known in Broadway, and so on and so forth, right? And then he got kind of like disillusioned and move away, right, from that, okay? And so the reason why I share that is because you will have, and you will be tempted to people please, okay? Because there are social pressures and we're social beings, okay? But what you have to do is get to the point where you don't care. And don't care doesn't mean be a dick. Don't care doesn't mean you got to be rude. Don't care. Remember, everything. This is the one major thing that Neville says. You must have a law, your law, the law that is built around, that is founded on the golden rule. So do unto others what you would have them do unto you. Right? So again, treat people with love, treat people with respect, celebrate each other, right? Be that kind of person in the world, okay? But at the same time, that doesn't mean that you can't be a person who doesn't have to go out and people please. And sometimes, by the way, there's nothing wrong with people pleasing as long as you know that you're doing it from a state of, I want to do this for this person, right? That's different than saying, I have to do it for this person. Do you hear the difference? So there's a major, major difference between that. And again, why? Because again, you will learn. So, all right, let's go back to deserving. And I did see your question, Red Hood, is let's go back to this idea of deserving. Okay. Because you will end up, right? How do I say this? Because I don't want to be rude, but like basically, if you don't think you deserve your desire, somebody else does. Okay. If you don't think that you deserve your desire, then you think there's something wrong with you. Then you are the unblemished lamb. I mean, you are the blemished lamb. You are the person who desires, but you have all of these other beliefs around it, right? So then what you're going to do is you're going to live your life through that. So you're going to manifest a life where you have to always like make other people happy so that you feel like you deserve your desire. Okay. Are you with me? So again, what does deserving mean though? So because deserving doesn't mean I have to be arrogant about it. But Neville said that he himself was very arrogant in his understanding of that he was a very well-known dancer before he even started dancing with no training in dancing, right? And so he goes, yes, I was arrogant enough. Hear what he's saying, though. The arrogance is about him, to him, within here. It's not like, hey, I'm the best, like, Kevin Hart does sometimes. And I know that's part of his humor. But what I'm saying is, right, and I mean, dude, that guy probably knows manifestation as well, because listen to how he talks about himself. And I'm using that as an example, right? You have to have an internal arrogance, not an external one. You have to have an internal arrogance that, hey, I deserve this. But that means you have to deal with the issues that make you feel like you don't deserve it. Right? Maybe you grew up in a low income area. Maybe you grew up in a childhood where you always heard your parents fighting over money. Maybe you did whatever it was. You grew up in an environment. Remember, environmental beings, right? We do not conform to that world. The conformity, by the way, means that there's going to be temptation to be conformed to it. Okay. But you don't have to. And the more that you practice this, the more easier it'll become, right, to actually be the person who has the thing that you want. Okay. But you, meaning you without social pressure. Because if you still continue to hold on to social pressure, you're just going to live a life where you have to always basically make others happy before you get what you want. That's why, and the reason why I keep saying that is because that's part of deserving. Deserving is, I deserve this. I don't need to enmesh myself to you to deserve this, right? That means I need to figure out that I need to serve somebody else and give away a part of myself to make you happy to get what I want. I know that is the way that, like, let's say the workplace works. I know that like we have these very transactional models, and I'll talk about that one day. But like basically these transactional models, like the biblical model of giving is never transactional, right? And so it's just give. It's just give. You don't give, right? Give and give, right? But what are you giving away? Well, you're giving away your limiting beliefs. So you're giving away your limiting beliefs that there's a homeless guy asking for money, right? You give away your limiting beliefs that anything is impossible. You give away, right? And those things actually start blessing your life the more that you are willing to give them away, okay? So again, just want to give that, like, just want to give this a lot. And there's more that I go here. But remember, deserving is from, hey, I deserve this. That means not only do I want something, because remember, desire itself is an illusion. You go into have, not like be, sorry. You go into be, right? Once you have a desire, it already has a solution, right? Everything exists already. What that means is you don't really have to desire. You have to be satisfied. If you want, like, you know how there's a lot of like YouTubes around like how to manifest this person or how to manifest this object in 4 minutes. Here you go. And maybe I'll do a video on this, but here's your 4-minute technique. Be satisfied, be excited, be filled with joy, right? And so that is ultimately what you want to cultivate. You want to protect your mood, right? Even in a New Yorker magazine in 1943, when they talked about Neville and they were quoting him, he was saying, God is your mood. So protect your mood, guide your mood, and make sure in that mood you deserve it. I deserve this. Now, if that feels foreign to you, keep practicing it. And maybe what will happen as part of your process is that the inner man, the inner self, will actually bring those memories that you need to heal from, right? So let me go back through some questions here. And let's see here, and I have a client call very soon, so I will have to jump off. So do I think, that's okay. I'm not gonna have time to do that one today, but that's I'll answer a little bit about it. So, okay. So Red Hood's asking a very, very important question, and there's loads of psychology behind this. But so personalities, we think personalities don't change. That's a lie. There's no neuroscientific research that will actually agree with that. There is social pressure. There's cultural pressure to say you are an individual. So at one time during college, I worked at Macy's, and one of their campaigns, as in not just where I worked, but the whole, like, you pop on and watch the like commercial, and it would say more you, right? Because remember, what do we just say at the beginning of this talk, right? Fundamentally, everything in advertising and in this world is about you lacking, right? So then you're modeling yourself after that lack, which means if you lack rejection, you're going to try to find acceptance in many different ways. Okay. So again, what that means is you've molded a what? A personal reality or a personal personality. So personality is your personal reality. Hence why it's called personality, right? And so you end up forming and shaping yourself and who you are, and with the ego's help, to become the person who has to protect themselves. So, right. So again, personalities can be changed. And I mean, personalities are just beliefs, right? Hence why Neville says you can get to the point where you can impress your subconscious between 10 and 20 seconds. Because below the surface of the personality is your subconscious. That's where your beliefs reside, where you think of, believe, react out from, right? And perceive everything. So your personality is a lens upon which you see the world. You could change like certain aspects of your personality today. You'd be like, okay, well, I thought I was introverted. I want to be extroverted. Okay. And I've seen people do that, like, pretty, maybe not instantly, but pretty damn close, where people are like, oh, yeah, I used to be shy. No, right? We have this really, really faulty science behind this. And when I say faulty, I'm not saying people in my field. I'm saying out here in this culture called the world, right? Of like, no, yeah, but science says this. No, it doesn't. There is no science that you can point me to that I can't send you 50 to 60 different, and I'm being literal here, articles that show that personality is not solid. You can change it. And so, and you'll notice it. If you start manifesting certain things about yourself, like more confidence, or that you deserve something, or less enmeshment, or less fear, you will definitely start altering the patterns of your personality, which will alter your actions, which will alter your behaviors, alter your own values, and so on and so forth. And I guarantee that that's not even a doubt in my mind. I mean, Neville talks about this, basically that people have a slight affection for pain. Now, why did I just bring that up in personality? Because people would rather stay the same because they know it. That's their pain. So they would rather actually hold on to beliefs that don't serve them, rather than actually doing the deep work of saying, I need to heal from this. And again, healing can happen overnight. Healing can happen in 6 years. It is down to you, really, or, getting a coach or whatever. And yes, Neville was a coach, 100%. People may not agree with that, but if you look at what he did and what he was doing, he would have definitely been that today, right? And so again, okay, so great question. And there's more here. By the way, those two questions that Raheem asked, I'm probably going to do another video on, because there's just way too much to actually deep dive in. So, okay, so let's see. This may be outside of the topic, but I spend thousands of dollars, okay, to enjoy paying bills, and my mental seems to manifest wealthy every day. Is that appropriate? Yeah. So, I mean, again, as long as you are feeling like you are the person in the scene that has that money, then yes. Because remember, you're now the person with that personality. So what that means, by the way, Raheem, though, and here's a tip for everybody, is you're going outside of that scene when you're done, and you are ultimately being that person in this world as well. So Neville has this really cool little short little technique, and I don't have to go in like 2 minutes, but like basically what he says is, imagine that every single dollar you have is like a leaf, and that you are the owner of a vast forest. Take it in. Just take that in. It's very, very cool, because imagine that every dollar that you have is a leaf, and you are the owner of a vast forest. Take that feeling in with you every day, right? Every single freaking day. Right after this, right now, soak it up. And again, to heal from these limiting beliefs, you have to do the deep work of what I've shared before. And there's those two techniques. And there are more techniques and different ones I'm going to be bringing as well. But these ones work with these issues the best, which is to go in and do the parts integration, Okay. So again, if you know that you're enmeshing, which means you feel like you can't separate yourself from society or from your own beliefs or from other people or from people pleasing, then go in and use the parts in integration technique, right? That's where you go in and you bring all the emotions around in a circle and let them talk to you. Let them explain to you what they're doing, right? Let them explain to you what they're doing for you and why they're there. Okay. So if you have a fear of rejection, have rejection talk to you. Like, why are you doing this? Literally talk to them. Okay. It's a very, very powerful technique. And remember the circle of excellence. Okay. The circle of excellence is when you go in, okay, and you actually create a ring and you step into the ring and you give it like a purple color, gold color, whatever it is, fuchsia, I don't judge you. And then you amplify it with that little knob technique that you've seen me do. If you don't know what those are, check out my NLP techniques video. And I'm probably going to do one where we share like 10, 15 of them. Okay. But I don't want them to be too many at once. It's too overwhelming. But again, thank you so much for jumping on. I would probably stay on longer, but I actually have a client call. So again, if you're looking for coaching, right, please get in touch. This is a very different type of coaching. Okay. This is not just like, all right, we're going to manifest this thing. Yes, you can do that. You can get to the point where you manifest things very quickly. It's very habitual, right? And I believe you can. And I believe you can use this to get what you want, right? So again, and we are weekly. We have every Friday we have these get-togethers where we talk about a concept from Neville, like self-concept, how to revise your history, how to overcome fear, whatever it is. But then also I'm starting a Bible study. There's like 8 of you that's already got in touch with me because remember the Bible study is psychological. It is not historical. We're not talking about where Jesus lived and who he was. No, he's the imagination. God is the imagination, right? And so we're going to talk about how the Bible is actually a book for techniques. And yes, it is. Almost every verse that you read from the Hebrew, and this is where a lot of my training comes in, right, is that you are ultimately being and reading stories that are metaphors for you and about you and how to manifest. So check that out. It's only $35. The weekly meetings are $50, right? And so if you're interested, get in touch. My bio has a link to a free Discord. It also has a link to email. So get in touch with me. Much love to you. Thank you so much. There were so many of you on today. Again, and I say this, and I can't stop saying this because I mean it, but thank you all for being here. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules. It's because of you of what I do. So much love to you all. Be safe. Manifest great things. Come back here. Update me. Let me know what you've been able to manifest and what you've been able to heal. So much love to you all. Be safe in the world. And happy Tuesday.